Welcome to Bite Size Dental Marketing. Today I have Katherine Belt. Katherine is Dentistry's unscripted communications coach and founder of LionSpeak. Katherine, it is so wonderful to meet you. I had Rachel Wall, who's probably our company's first company crush. We used to follow Rachel and try to follow her around the world as she went and spoke, and we had a couple of mutual clients. But I'm so grateful that she connected us, and thank you for being on the show. I'm a huge fan of origin stories, and I would love to hear yours.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. And I think I join you. I have a girl crush on Rachel, no doubt about it. She's darling and just such a smart cookie and a great advocate for dental hygiene out there in the world.
She's
So
wicked smart, as they
she
say.
is wicked smart. And so I adore and I'm so grateful that she connected us. And it means a lot that she did. I love origin stories too. Mine, I don't know if it's all that dramatic, but I think there are a lot of dental professionals that either have had a similar path or hopefully this would inspire them. I started as a chairside dental assistant in Texas back in the day, and I don't know if this has changed or not, but back in the early '80s, late '70s, early '80s, I you could just pull someone off the street and hand them a suction and pat on the back and good luck, and they
Chain them
were
up.
they were a dental assistant. And that was my journey, and it was really just I was going to school at night and just was a part-time uh job that turned into full time, and but it was just really a job. It had nothing to do with dentistry. I didn't love dentistry. I didn't think
Mhm.
dentistry would ever be a full-time career for me, and so it was just a job. And I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And I had a moment about a year into that job where my boss was the dentist, um, who I thought was old at the time, was probably in his late 30s. But he, I think he just had a belly full of me being good enough, but not great, not really focusing the way he wanted. And he was very excited about dentistry. He had just finished a big continuum at Pankey, and he had all this, new ideas and new technology and new procedures, and he just was super on fire. And he just was kind of fed up with the mediocre performance I was delivering.
Mm.
And so he took me aside one evening before I went home and said, I just want you to know that I think you're amazing. I think you're an amazing human being. And I don't have any doubt that you're going to have an amazing career and life ahead of you. And I've made a decision today that I no longer am going to have dental assistants in my practice. So I'm laying them off, including you. And he pushed a white envelope across the desk to me, uh, ostensibly my final paycheck. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I, you're firing me." And he said, "No, I'm not firing you. I'm laying off my dental assistants, including you." And I said, I know I didn't do very well today or haven't done all that great, but I really need this job. I can do better. I will do better. Please give me another chance." And he said, "No, I wish I could, but I can't." Um, and then he said something that forever changed the course of my professional career. He said, "Now, while I am officially terminating this position, tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, I'm going to start interviewing for a different position. And I really, really hope that you show up for the interviews." That position has a new title, a new job description, a new pay scale, and vastly different expectations. And I have no doubt you could do it. I have no doubt you have the intelligence, you have the ability. Um, what I don't know is if you're ready. Only you can answer that, and I won't take your answer tonight. So I'm calling that position a dental colleague, and forever that's what it will be in my practice. I will never work one more day with a dental assistant. I'm going to have a colleague across the chair from me that is in love with dentistry as I am, that is excited about going to courses and learning new things, pushing the envelopes of what we can do for patients, that is in this game 100%. And um, I would love for that to be you. But if it isn't you, I need you to know that I'm not angry with you, that I've loved our time together, and it's just not going to be a good fit right now, but we're going to exchange Christmas cards. We are friends. We are good. Um, I just need something different. And so I walked out to my car. I remember holding that final paycheck thinking, why am I smiling? Because I'm pretty sure I just got fired.
Hmm. Hmm.
But somehow he did that and simultaneously made me feel better about myself than before he fired me. It's like that's a
Hmm.
pretty
Hmm.
amazing conversation and pretty amazing piece of leadership. And he would tell you that he's not a good leader, but I would tell you that he led me.
That sounds
And
like leadership.
it does. And it sounds like extraordinary leadership to me because it's leadership that isn't a forced thing. It's an invitation. And this is much of what I teach today, is how we take what would be a demand from other people, a demand, um, and an ultimatum, and turns it into a willing invitation to step into a different reality. And that is a very different conversation. And so it changed my life. I did show up the next day for the interview and I did get the job. And I worked for him for 7 more years and probably would still be working there today. Honestly, I fell in love with dentistry. I fell in love with what we do for patients and can do for patients and the teamwork that's involved in all of that. But I married and my husband was transferred to California, so I moved. And and when we moved to California and I had a young family, I saw a job in the newspaper. That's how we used to do it. I saw
Hmm.
an
Hmm.
ad in the newspaper. It was actually for a sales position for a dental consultant or consulting company. And I really didn't even quite know what that was, but I applied for the job, got the job, was really sucked at sales. But they quickly had a trainer that couldn't do the training for a client, and they asked me to step in, gave me the little curriculum for the 2 hour training, and I studied it the night before and went and did this and I fell in love with coaching. And so a few years later, I broke away and started my own coaching program. And for several decades, I was a full practice management coach and consultant. And then I turned 50. And I think something happens in your 50s for most people. You start
Hmm.
saying, well,
Hmm.
how can I, make the rest of my professional life more full of the things I most love and the kinds of clients I most love? And so what I most loved was teaching communication and leadership and those dynamics. And I think I have a natural propensity toward it. So LionSpeak was born, we rebranded, and now I just narrowed my focus to communications coaching only. And we deliver it in 3 different lanes. We have a patient facing communications lane where we teach telephone skills and treatment presentation. We have a team facing lane that we teach team culture and management and leadership skills. We have something we call courageous conversations. I'm writing a book on that right now, and that's a big part of that. Do a lot of team retreats, that kind of thing. And then our third lane is audience facing communication. So it's a train the speaker and
Hmm.
train the trainer program. So that's kind of the long and the short of my professional journey. And I still I still love dentistry. It's still the bulk of, although we do some work outside the industry in the veterinary industry and inside some corporations, but most of our work still is within the dental field. Yeah.
That is such a wonderful story. It, you'd be, we don't have time to get into it, but it's the mirrors that how it aligns to my journey into pain freedom marketing
Mm.
are very similar. But it's so interesting that the dentist that you're talking about said he wasn't a great leader. I think what he was exhibiting there was he was setting expectations. He was holding people accountable. He was explaining the paradigm change that was needed to be successful, and ultimately holding you accountable for the action. Like I think that dentist, and this is my very ignorant opinion of the view into the life of the dentist. I think they see that if they do one or two or three things incorrectly, that makes them not a great leader. And
Oh,
I think that leadership is a broad umbrella that it is more forgiving than people think. You can do
oh
some
yeah.
things wrong, and as long as you do some more things right, there's a continuum of success, not a binary pass fail.
Yeah,
But that sounds like excellent leadership.
it
Yeah.
was. And I remember, you know, he not only did all those things you just identified, but he also inspired me at the same
Hmm.
time. And so I teach that there really are only two things, whether we're on the telephone with a patient, whether we're standing up before our team, trying to align them with our future vision, or we're one on one in a coaching conversation, or we're standing on a stage in front of an audience. It does not, or we're at our dinner table with our kids. It does not matter where we're communicating, the platform. There's two things. There's only at the core of it, only two things that we have to de- deliver. And one is clarity, which he did, clarity about what he needed, what he wanted, where the bar was. And he went on. I mean, I didn't give you the whole conversation, but I mean, he explained this is what it looks like versus this. It was very
Hmm.
specific. So me coming back the next morning was into a clear picture of what the new job was. Um, but so clarity is one. The second thing is inspiration, because we could be clear but not inspirational. We could have
Hmm.
someone walk away from a conversation and understand what we were requesting, but not feel inspired to take a step in that direction. And we could
Sure.
also inspire and get people all pumped up. People, the Tony Robbins of the world do it all the time. You get you all pumped up, but they're only really going to stand the test of time if they also give us some clear action steps, so that we don't just leave excited. We leave with, like, I know what to do. So the combination of those two, if one's missing, in my estimation, it's incomplete. So that's
Hmm.
a very
Hmm. Hmm.
simple way of describing great communication. But sometimes the things that are the most impactful and the toughest to do are really simple at their core. It doesn't mean they're easy, but they're simple. And that's really, I remember that a few years, well, not a few years, maybe 15 years later, I found myself speaking to the Texas State Dental Society, and he was in my audience. And, we hadn't seen each other in many years, though we'd stayed in touch. And he came up to me. I told that story. I have it crafted. I sort of tell it in third person and reveal at the end that it was me. But anyway, I told that story as my opening story in that speech. And he came up to me at the break and he said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you told that story." And I said, "I know." And he said, "Do you always tell it?" And I said, "Well, I don't always tell it, but I tell it a bit, quite a bit." And he said, I don't remember it being that big of a deal." And I said, "Well, it might not have been a big deal to you, but to this 19-year-old sort of floundering young woman, it was a big deal. It
Yeah.
was a pivotal moment in me making a decision about who I wanted to be, and the opportunities that I had to step into, and the decisions that were mine to make."
Hmm.
And I think that's what happens to a lot of us. I think we're having conversations all day long, in and out of the day, that 15 years from now, we won't remember, but someone else will. Someone else will count it at the end of their life as one of their all time best or worst conversations. And so it matters. It matters how we communicate and the thoughtfulness that we give to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Now, walk me through how you've took those to the expectations and the I'm going to get the word wrong on the first one.
The
No,
clarity. Clarity.
clarity, clarity and inspiration. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Walk me through how when you're talking to teams about new patients, when you're talking to teams about answering the insurance questions and the hard questions that they
Yeah.
get, how are you weaving those into your training?
Oh, I know exactly what I want to say about that. So let's just take telephone skills. If you just take new patient calls in general, whatever they request at the beginning, but just all new patient calls in general, aren't we wanting to have the patient say yes to the appointment, show up at the practice, clear already about what to do, when to be there, what to bring, what to expect, um, that we're a good match, to have clarity around that, and also to come in excitedly expectant because they feel this is a good alignment of values. And so that's overall what we're trying to do on the call. We're trying not to confuse them because confused patients say no and confused patients don't show up. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
so we're trying to make it simple, keep it clear, and we're trying to inspire them that we can help them and it will be worth the visit. It will be worth the money. It will be worth more than worth what they're going to invest. And so we're trying to accomplish that. But let's take that insurance question specifically. That is a prime example of where I find most dental professionals without training, and to their credit, many of them don't get good training. They're handed
Hmm.
a telephone and a computer and a pat on the back and good luck. And that's the extent of their training. And so it makes sense that those tough questions would be challenging to do really well. But most dental professionals untrained will answer the insurance question with clarity, meaning they'll say, no, if you are a provider on the plan, it's not that hard. It's not that hard of a question.
It's
It
easy. Yeah.
becomes a hard question when you're not a provider on the plan and the patient is asking about it. And so the clarity piece there is, no, I'm sorry, we're not a provider on that plan. That's the truth. And
It's an
that's the
easy
clear,
answer.
it's an easy answer. And that's the clear answer. And so we create clarity. But that answer does not create inspiration, right? As a matter of fact, it creates inspiration to go somewhere else and keep
Hmm.
looking for a provider. And that's what any of us would do. That's what any of us would do. So, what we teach is how do we get both? And I'm not an advocate of tricking people. I personally don't think that you have to give a long winded explanation to still be truthful. And I think it's in our long term benefit and toward our reputation to always be truthful. So, what we recommend is that instead of telling patients what we're not, we are truthful with the flip side of the coin. It is true that we're not a provider on that plan. It is also true that we are considered a non contracted provider or an uncontracted provider or
Hmm.
an unrestricted provider. That is also true. So now we have a choice. We can say what we're not, or we can say what we are. Both are true. And if we want clarity and inspiration, then I vote for the what we are
Right.
and how it will work, how you can use your benefits and how that will work when you come to our practice versus we're not a provider and here's what won't work. You're going to have to pay more. There'll be more out of pocket. That's how it doesn't work versus how it does work over here. And so I think that's a perfect example that if we aren't careful, we're giving one without the other, almost without knowing it. And that's why that answer doesn't end up in, I mean, I always say, even if you use our techniques that we teach at LionSpeak for these questions, you're still not going to convert 100% of the insurance question. You just aren't.
It's a
But
complicated
if you say
question.
no, if you say no, we're not a provider, I believe you'll lose 100% of those. You'll lose 100%. So I'm
Yeah.
up for well, at least over here with a different approach, we're going to get maybe 30% of those that will come in. Now there's more to that technique. It's not just
Hmm.
that simple. There's more to that technique, but that's the beginning of it. The beginning of it is changing our own mindset to say, well, if that's what we're not, then what are we? If that's how it doesn't work, well, then how does it work? And let
Hmm.
me focus on and be the voice of that. Yeah.
No, as you talk, it brings so many things to my mind. We have, as part of the marketing, we listen to the bulk of the inbound phone
Yeah.
calls from offices. And,
Sure.
so we get to hear, I don't know, 120, 140 offices, how they answer that across the spectrum. Most of our offices are getting out of network or some form of getting out of network. And the number, and again, if I had a magic wand, and I love what you said about, about the 2 points. I think that the dental professionals that are answering the phone are anchoring themselves to the domain knowledge they have of how dental insurance works.
Yeah.
And I think that, and again, I'm going to go back to 2008, 2010 era when I needed a dentist and I had dental insurance. And when it said I was in network, it meant that's where I had to go. And if I was not in network, I could not go there. Like, I think that your average consumer
Yeah.
does not really
No,
understand dental insurance is not like medical insurance, is not like your home insurance. It
that's
is
right.
this weird supplemental.
It's like
I
a
will tell you,
rebate.
I don't
It's a
even like
rebate.
it. I I think it is. I almost think it should be illegal to call it insurance. It's so far
No,
not
it's so
insurance.
different. It's so different. One of the things that I ask my audiences often is I'll say, raise your hand if you have ever had a patient who's been coming there a long time, loves the dentist, loves their hygienist, loves the team, is totally committed. Their family's committed. How many of you have ever had them get a new insurance at work? Their office will get a new insurance, and now suddenly they have dental insurance or a different dental insurance, and they bring it to you and say, "Hey, I got this new insurance. Can I use it here?" And you look at it and you say, "No, I'm sorry, we're not a provider on that plan." Have you ever had any of those people stay anyway? And of course, people raise their hand, and I'll
Yeah,
say,
very high
"Okay."
percent.
So you've had people already have insurance benefits, but they already had the relationship with your office and loved you and felt that they could trust, and they just felt solid there. And so the pull of the new insurance isn't enough to take them from the relationship. And then I said, now raise your hand if you've had some of those patients, some of them do go to try to use the insurance somewhere else. They do leave and they came back. And
Hmm.
of course, a
Hmm.
bunch of hands go up. And I say, because why? And they'll always say, because they got there and they didn't have the relationship, or the experience was different, and they didn't like it, and they came back to what they trusted and what they knew. And I said, okay, so here's the deal then. You already have evidence, proven evidence. Don't take my word for it. Take your patient's experience. Take your word for it. Patients will go and spend beyond their insurance if the the value of your office is ranks bigger or larger in their mind than the benefit of the insurance. The trouble with a new patient on the phone is they don't have that previous relationship.
Hmm.
So they don't have any value proposition, and you've only got minutes to potentially create a value proposition that says, even beyond what your dental insurance will pay, there is some benefit I can speak to here. And
Hmm. Hmm.
so that's a really rich conversation to get dental administrators and teams, but particularly administrators on the phone, to be able to leverage those minutes that they have to get behind the curtain of the question, I call it, to get
Hmm.
behind,
Hmm.
because there's some reason they're asking this question. I mean, people that ask the price question aren't curious about the price of crowns these days or the price of implants. They're not sitting around on their couch going, I wonder what the price of implants are these days. I think I'll call
Hmm.
tomorrow.
They're in pain.
Well,
They have some
there's a
underlying need.
driver. There's a
Hmm.
driver.
Hmm.
And if you're speaking to the question, you're speaking to the wrong thing. You got to get behind, you got to have the skill to get behind the question, figure out what the driver is, and speak to the driver. Because that's what will make the difference. And so that's what we really work on, um, is helping administrators grab control of the call and start steering the questions in the right direction. Yeah.
That I'm so glad that you're out there teaching that, because I think it would be so valuable to the bulk of my offices. Uh, and again, I across 116,000 calls, I think
It's a
we've
lot. Yeah.
yep, a lot. Uh, 10 full time people for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
We hear so often the and I'm using ignorance in the purest form, like not
Yeah.
shitty. The patients are simply ignorant to what insurance really means to them, and because they view it in a certain way, the offices are like, no, we don't take that insurance. Well, they're not getting into if they need you know $10,000 in treatment, that $1,500 or $2,000 maximum means nothing. I'll negotiate that all day long.
Sure. Sure.
You know that just, but you don't have time, and getting to the spirit of that question, I think is such a noble skill, and something that they need to learn. But I'm so grateful that you're out there giving them the tools, because I
Yeah,
am
they
actually
haven't
a
had the
victim.
training. Hmm.
Mhm. I'm a victim of going to a dentist that took my insurance and getting really poor work done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I should have, gone to someone who again, would I have paid a few $100s more? Of course, but uh, I actually saw someone speak one time, and I loved the paradigm in which you explained that insurance question of how you had someone leave. So you're changing the paradigm of it. They're not price shopping; they're looking for the value behind it.
You are.
I saw someone speak one time that had a similar paradigm around prices, and he said, he had $10,000 in cash and a pair of pliers and some Novocaine, and he said, "I'll buy anyone in this room's number 8 for $10,000, and you never get to replace it." And he had a legal. I mean, you felt like he was going to do it. Um, and no one wants to sell it.
Mhm.
No one wants to
Yeah.
do that. And
Yeah.
so if you're not willing to give up your tooth forever for $10,000, why are you so concerned to talk about money? But just when you were talking, it sort of, I love those paradigm breaking examples that allow
Sure.
us to see those problems in a different light. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, eh, talk to me a little bit about what you're doing on the team, in leadership communication. Talk to me about, the two other pillars that you have there.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could say I had a favorite. I don't, but I do have a favorite topic within that team facing communication lane for us. Um, and that is something we call courageous conversations. And
Mm,
you can see that it grew from the first courageous conversation. Really, I think I was on the receiving end of as an employee, and I know how you know um, influential it was. But since then, I have been a student of courageous conversations in any platform or in any circumstance, and and have really identified a very easy system for taking any high emotion conversation, maybe a coaching conversation or a conflict that is
mm,
sparked, in an office, or an owner who, through needs to navigate their team through tough times, whatever it is, there is a system that makes it easier to follow, and land that conversation where it creates clarity and it creates inspiration and it lifts people up, even if at the end of that conversation you're going to part ways. Let's just take it to its
mhm,
most, exaggerated end. Even if that were the outcome, wouldn't it be useful and really feel like a good contribution to the world to be able to communicate in a way that you held your boundaries, you held your standards, and even if you determined there wasn't a good alignment in this exchange, that you left that other person feeling uplifted and left them convinced that you had their best interest at heart, not just yours. And so
mhm,
that's what we teach. That's what we teach in that team facing. So we do it in a variety of ways. Um, I'm currently doing the final edits on a video learning program that will walk teams and owners and leaders through the structure of a courageous conversation and how to have it. So I'm just so anxious to get that out in the world so people can at least watch those videos in small modules and learn those skills. It feels like a really great contribution in the world we live in. You'd probably agree that all you have to do
Mhm.
is turn on the television to see that there's an epidemic of people unable to have a really, um, I think, high level, courageous conversation. And I'm on
Agreed.
a mission to change that in the world. But we help a lot of owners and leaders do something, facilitate something we call a calibration retreat. And it's an annual retreat that you have with your team. I have one with my company every year, and we're real big proponents of it, that at least once a year, minimum of once a year, that the owner would gather their team together and would um, sort of redefine or re-examine and represent what the future target is, what the vision is for the next 3 to 5 years, where we're headed, what we're building. I think that is only an owner's prerogative. I'm not an advocate of teams coming together to write a vision. I don't think it's theirs to write. I think they are
Mhm.
looking
Mhm.
to the owners of that business to say, what are we building? Where are we going? And so, to the degree that we can coach owners to get that clarity for themselves first, and then to relay it in a really compelling presentation to their teams, um, we facilitate those retreats, and then the bulk of the day, the rest of the day, is all around some really engaging team exercises that bring that vision to life, put some legs to it, give it some detail, and then bring that team, bond that team together. So we love those retreats. We have some coaching programs, annual programs that include the retreat, but we also do them as one-offs, and so that's really that lane. That's really what we focus on, and
Hmm.
um, yeah, it's really good work, I
That's great.
think.
No, I agree with you. I know that a lot of people want to get help in building their mission and mission statement, but I'll tell you, Andre and I are very true to this. This company is an extension of me. Like it
That's
is
right.
in some ways, to a significantly lesser degree, it is a child in some ways. Like it
Mhm.
grows and has it and is an extension of me, and it is my vision now. And I think I need to be consistent in how I apply that vision, but I think it's the people I work with job to align with that vision or not. And if they don't,
Sure.
that's really great. They're going to have a wonderful career somewhere else. But it is definitely the mission statement is around this is I want to help dentists. I want to help. I want to be. I want to love clients and I want to be pain free when they. As someone to work with. That is the vision. I'm not looking to be the biggest digital agency. I'm not looking. And anytime someone wants to go there, I don't. I want to work with clients that I legitimately enjoy being around, and that is what I want. And anything that takes me away from that is not being true to myself.
So the
Yeah,
best
I
thing you
love.
can do is make sure you've got people on your team who are on fire about that
Hmm.
vision. Some are going to be on fire. If we take the judgment out of it and we say it's absolutely fine to want to work for a marketing company that wants to be the biggest and the best of all time. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just all about alignment. It's about
Yeah.
alignment. And so if we don't make it right or wrong, and that's what we teach in our leadership, like, before you can ever have a courageous conversation that's going to go well and do it repeatedly and have it be a habit, you have to write the house inside. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be
Hmm.
coming from a place of non-judgment, and you can't be speaking from a place of fear, and you can't be speaking from a place of high frustration or victimization. If you feel like the victim of your team, or of the employment crisis or the economy, or just
Hmm.
fill in the
Hmm.
blank with whatever you want to fill in the blank with. If that's where you're speaking from, it won't matter what system you use to have the conversation, it won't land. And So the first thing we do is a little bit of personal growth in getting the individual to speak from an emotionally stable platform that is lost its, at least most of its judgment, is in a neutral position, in a positively expectant position, and is not speaking from a victim mode, and is in full control of their experience. And then when you speak from that level of strength, now you apply the little simple 4-step process, it works beautifully. But I contend it works every time,
Hmm.
but it
Hmm.
almost never works from a weak emotional platform. So it really
Right,
is
right.
a bit of internal work and then the external. And another thing you said that I really loved, um, is that just because we don't think that the employees should have a thing to do with your vision, not a thing, or your standards. Some people call them values, but we like to talk about them in terms
Hmm.
of cultural standards. And so I don't think that is their prerogative. But while it's my prerogative as an owner of my own business to have it any way I want, I get to have it any way I want. That's the
Hmm.
beauty of
Hmm.
living in this amazing country that we live in. Anyone can start a business and anyone can do it any way they want. Um, and so if I want to start at 6:30 in the morning, I be off at 4, I get to do that. If I want to start at 10 o'clock in the morning and work till 10 o'clock at night, I get to do that. There's nothing to say I can't. But while I think all that, I do think it's my prerogative. I also think it's my responsibility to, when I make the invitation to potential employees to join us, that I'm very clear what the invitation really is. This is an invitation into this vision. The train is going here, at least for now, and I reserve the right to change my mind anytime I want.
That's right.
It was going somewhere before COVID, and after COVID hit, we changed a little bit of our direction because we learned some things through COVID that I actually really liked. And so now we have a slightly different target, and that's my prerogative. But my
Hmm.
responsibility is not to change the station the train's going to, and not inform my team and not
That's
reissue
right.
the invitation. And so I honor that my employees have their own life vision that I have no say in. I have no say in the kind
That's
of
right.
parents they want to be. And they're so what I'm looking for is, can I be super clear about the invitation into my company, into my vision and my standards? Can I understand yours? And can we talk about whether those really align or not? And if they do, then I want you on board. If
That's
they
right.
don't, I want to
Yep.
honor that. And I want to do anything I can to help you find the place where you are on fire.
Hmm.
So it's,
Yeah,
it's,
and
it's
I'm gonna give
actually
you a
pretty
big old
simple.
hug. Yeah, and if we're not, I'm gonna give you a big hug, and I'm gonna wish you
Yeah.
well, and
Yeah.
I'm legitimately gonna be cheering on for you because
Yeah.
I would rather someone have the temerity to tell me we're going in a direction that I'm not interested in
Yeah.
because I can deal with that versus
Yep.
pretend like they are,
Right.
be frustrated along the way. But
Mhm.
really, all you did was deny me the opportunity to have someone who was my champion in that place.
And you
Yeah,
denied yourself the
that's right.
opportunity to feel amazingly on fire about what you're doing every day.
That's right.
And so
Yeah.
I think but it works for both. It has to work for both.
Hmm.
And
Agreed.
it really is a fun journey, to it's actually really freeing. It's freeing to know that employees are not driving your dissatisfaction. The economy and the marketplace is not driving your dissatisfaction. We're allowing
Hmm.
our dissatisfaction. We're allowing it, and we can stop allowing it anytime we want. And actually, once you really believe that and you know how to do that, it's incredibly freeing because now you're the captain of the ship. You really are
That's right.
every day. And so for me, I love seeing those light bulbs go off in the leaders and the owners and in the managers and employees that we're coaching. Once they understand what is their prerogative, what is their responsibility, and how can we honor and respect each other across the board so we make good decisions, and create amazing teams. And it's happening. I mean, it is absolutely possible to do. And I know there's a labor shortage. I get it. But I'll tell you, we had a lot of people before COVID, a lot of practices who were like, culture, schmulture, like we get it, but I don't know if I want to invest a lot of money.
Mhm.
And then COVID hit, and this labor shortage really became apparent and maybe exaggerated and exacerbated a bit. And so now we have a lot of those same companies coming back and saying, okay, I get now that if I don't have an amazing leadership and supportive culture, clear culture, they're going down the street. They're going down to the corner for a few dollars more an hour, and they have opportunities to go anywhere. And if I
That's right.
don't make the case for them to stay here and they don't believe it, they won't. They won't. Money will talk. And so
Mhm.
I think we're doing really good work out there in helping owners to save the teams that they really want to save, by building a culture that people can really get behind. And it's worth the work. Not only does it make it better for the employees, but it makes it better for the owners. And, I'm
Agreed.
really, from the owner standpoint, I don't think we live two separate lives. We don't have a home life and a work life. We have one life that has two components supporting it. And I want mine to be good and balanced and fun. When to come to work, I want that to be something I'm anxious to do because I like it. And everyone should is deserving of that experience. And so
Agreed.
that's what we're about.
Well, Catherine, this has been amazing. And if there are people out there that want to get in touch with you, you're at lionspeak.net,
Uh huh.
Katherine Belt, and I can't say enough how thankful I am that you joined me. And this has been amazing. And thank you
I'm
so much
so
for being
glad
on the
to. I
show,
love
Catherine.
this conversation, and it sounds like we're very much like-minded. And it's just been a pleasure. Yeah, anyone we teasingly say LionSpeak.com is Lions Peak Winery. So if you want wine, go to .com. But if you want unscripted communications training for your team, for your patients, or to become a speaker or a trainer, then come see us at LionSpeak.net. And we'd be happy to have a coffee
Mhm.
chat with you, complimentary. On we kind of pride ourselves on bring your issue. We'll have a 15-20 minute conversation, give you some coaching. And of course, it's a no selling zone. So we're just hoping that you'll love the coaching so much you'll want more of it. But if you've got an issue, call us up. We'll have a coffee chat. We'll give you our best advice, and then we'll see what happens from there. So, yeah.
That was your bite of dental marketing.